Welcome to Senior Travel Adventures. I'm Debbie, and with me today is Monique Kiefner, who is kind enough to come on the show and share her recent travels to South America. And I actually have Monique coming on another show to talk about Alaska, but again, today we're going to talk about South America. So, hi, Monique. Thanks for joining me.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on this and explain my trip to South America. It was wonderful.
Great. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, I know for the audience, you are a travel agent, so you do get to take a fair number of trips.
Yes, that is correct. I've been a travel agent for the last 10 years. And it's just been amazing to be able to travel to all these places, just see things that I have never seen before, meet amazing people. Just some of these countries have the friendliest people, and the culture is just amazing to see. And it's so different from what we're used to here in America when I go overseas to different places like Budapest and South America. There's just so many areas that are amazing to go to.
The world is so big. I've been doing a fair amount of traveling, but just for the last few years, and my list is very long, as I've told you. But I just find it amazing to go to these places. So let's some of the things I saw on your trip, and we're going to share some of your pictures as we talk. So you started in Buenos Aires, is that correct?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. And then so you went to I see this great picture of a big sign that says Chile. So that must have been on your two, and we're going to show a picture of this statue. Can you tell us a little bit about the statue?
That one was actually in Puerto Monte, Chile. So that was towards the end of the trip.
Okay.
That was the
Okay.
whale tail that was outside of the port where the ship was. After you come out of the little town, it was right there before you get back on the ship.
Okay. And one thing, I talk a lot about solo travel. So as a travel agent, do you normally go solo or do you travel? Was this a solo trip?
Yes. Yeah, I do a lot of solo traveling just because my husband works a lot and my kids work. So I end up going alone, which is, I take a lot of groups. So I'm alone in my cabin, but I meet up with the group that I'm either hosting or traveling with. It is fun when you're traveling with a group of people.
Right, right. And so that's why I talk about it on the show because a lot of us want to travel, but we're like, well, we don't have someone to go with, but it's really fun to do it alone. But it's also fun to be with a group. So I do it, I've done it both. I just came back from a group and it was great fun. So the next thing I saw that you shared with me was this great old ship.
Mhm.
What was this history on this ship?
That ship was actually Puerto Arenas. So that was I did a tour, like a city tour, and they took us to that. And there's a couple different ships there. There was a picture, I think, of there's a light, and that was part of the ship as
Hmm.
well.
Hmm.
Um, just the history of it being a port city and how many ships came in.
Well, and then the next part, which was really cool for me, is all these wonderful pictures of penguins we're about to show. So one of my things that I really want to do is go see some penguins in their natural habitat. So
Mhm.
you have some amazing pictures here that we're showing. Tell me a little bit about your interaction with the penguins.
Well, we went to Stanley, the Falkland Islands is where we saw all the penguins. And the penguins that you're seeing, I went to two different locations for those. The one location where there's a smaller amount of penguins is actually, I took a city bus, and that was free to go over to do that. And that was in Gypsy Cove, actually, is where those little cluster penguins were. And you kind of walk around and you see the penguins and you see beautiful coastline, and then the second one where you see the bigger cluster of penguins, that one was at Pebble Cove, and that was a tour I did from the ship. And that took about 30 minutes to get from the port to get to that location to see all the penguins. And you just walk around. They actually have a little, not a fence, but like a string that kind of separates you from the penguins, just telling you you can't go in out inside of the string.
Okay.
So, but the penguins, of course, walk outside of the string and go where they want to go, but they
Right.
just want you to keep a safe distance from them so you're not interfering with them.
Right. So the penguins don't care about that string, so that's okay.
No,
Um,
that they could care less.
yeah, right. That's just the human string. Um,
It is.
so then I saw some pictures of some glaciers, which I was really surprised, although I don't know why, because I know that part of South America, it tends to be cold. And we've
Yes,
got a picture of you wearing a coat, so it looks like it might have been a little breezy.
it
But
was
let's
very
talk
cold.
about those glaciers.
Yeah, towards the, I guess, end of the cruise, like day 9 and day 10, we did scenic cruising, which was through the glaciers. We went through the Chilean Ford and the Cerramiento Channel and the Beagle Channel. And that's where you see all the glaciers. And it was very cold. I didn't bring gloves, so my hands were probably, they were numb. But I wanted to stay out there to get as many pictures as we could. And we just basically crawl along. And at some point, they will stop the ship and just turn it so everybody gets the same view of the glacier. So it was amazing. It was beautiful. Some people saw whales and dolphins. I didn't see them. I just missed them somehow. But there was dolphins and whales out there. But it was beautiful, beautiful.
The glaciers, and we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna talk about Alaska in a future episode, but the glacier still has been one of my most amazing things that I've seen was the glaciers in real life. And the fortunate thing is we don't have it's great to go to South America, but we can go just to Alaska and still see glaciers. We don't, so I would encourage my audience to go see glaciers while you can,
Yes.
because they are just pretty magnificent in general. So, what was your highlight of this trip?
Um, I guess obviously the penguins were a highlight just because you get to see them in their natural habitat. You get to see them not behind a glass, which I'm used to from SeaWorld, right? So, and I mean, there was a cluster of mamas and babies, and the mama was feeding the baby, and that was just like amazing to watch, and just how they interact with each other.
So the total trip, how many days was it? And you went on, where did the cruise begin? Where did you start cruising from?
We started in Buenos Aires, so you would have to fly into Buenos Aires. I'm in San Diego, so it was about a 15-hour flight. By the time we get to New York, from there you go into Buenos Aires. And it was a 14-day cruise. So we started in Buenos Aires and then we ended in Santiago, Chile.
Okay. And then flew home from there. Well, that's
And then I flew
wonderful.
home from there. I didn't stay any extra days, but of course people can, and some of them did. But I didn't really get to see a whole lot of Santiago, Chile, so I do want to go back so I can see more of that.
Yeah, and that's kind of what happens on a lot of the tours, as you know. Sometimes it's a taste of or the highlights of the area.
Mhm.
And if you really like a certain location, then you might want to plan a trip to go back to see a specific location. On a recent tour that I took, I saw so many things and it was wonderful. But then I was like, well, I wish I had more time. And obviously on a cruise, you're going to go where you have so much time in port and so many excursions, and then you're back on the
Mhm.
ship. And there's so many good things about cruising as well, though, because you unpack once and that's really a big advantage too.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
that sounds like a fabulous trip, and I'm so glad that you came on to share this with us. And I look forward to our next conversation about Alaska. So
Yes. Well,
thank you
thank
for
you so
joining
much
me.
for having me. It was a wonderful trip, and I do highly recommend everybody doing that and actually doing the extension to Antarctica.
So
Nice.
again, thanks a lot, and I'll talk to you soon.
Well, thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.